ведут против нас все более агрессивные информационные атаки. Целью выбирают прежде всего, конечно, молодых людей, молодые поколения. И здесь опять лгут постоянно, извращают исторические факты, не прекращают нападки на нашу культуру, на русскую православную церковь, другие традиционные религиозные организации нашей страны. Посмотрите, что они делают со своими собственными народами. Разрушение семьи, культурной и национальной идентичности, извращение, издевательства над детьми вплоть до педофилии объявляются нормой их жизни. А священнослужители, священников принуждают благословлять однополые браки. Да Бог с ними, пускай что хотят, то и делают. Что здесь хочется сказать? Взрослые люди имеют право жить, как хотят. Мы к этому так и относились в России, и всегда к этому будем так относиться. Никто в частную жизнь не вторгается, и мы не собираемся этого делать. Но хочется им сказать, посмотрите, извините меня, священное писание, главные книги всех других мировых религий. Там все сказано, в том числе то, что семья – это союз мужчины и женщины. Но и эти...
First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rokak Wadash, the honors to the elders and apostles. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rokak Wadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to you, Akim, you Aquat, that believe in all sincerity. As you see here, Vladimir Putin, the West is being run by Jewish, satanic pdfFiles. They want to normalize pdfPhilia. The true enemy is not Russia, China, Iran, or North Korea. The Rothschild Khazarian Mafia is the true enemy of peace. And I played the video at the beginning. You can go ahead and rewind to see what Putin said. I actually wrote it down, so I'm going to read it again. Just a couple points from his speech. It says, Russia can't be defeated in battle. That's why they carry on information attacks. Okay, he went on to say that first of all, they're targeting young generations, distorting historical truth. They're destroying institutions of family and their cultures, historical identity, and various perversions. With regard to children, pdfFiles is regarded normal. Priests are forced to recognize and officiate marriages. People live how they want. Nobody intrudes on private life. He also want to say maybe they should take a look into the scriptures of any holy book or religion. Union is between man and woman. Okay, so there you have it. Vladimir Putin outs America for being pdfFiles. And I often say that. I've even done videos on that. But it's good to out America, out Esau, Edom, because of their atrocities, okay, their perversions, as he mentioned. But I want to expound on some points that he made, okay, and provide some scriptures. Hopefully this is edifying. It says Russia can't be defeated in battle. That's why they carry on information attacks, and they're not the only country that has said that. China has also said that America is a empire of lies. This is let's get Proverbs 11:9. It says, an hypocrite with his mouth destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. Okay, and America is a true hypocrite. America has went around, telling nations what to do. When look at America's history. Okay, America was built on the backs of you so-called blacks, Latinos, you Native Americans. Okay, and through knowledge shall the just be delivered. And so the election is using knowledge to deliver, okay, the stance of you Israelites. Okay, and that's something big here in America. You know, America's always pointing the finger, but they don't ever look, you know, at their own crap. Okay? Let's see. He also said first of all, they're targeting young generations, distorting historical truth. Okay? And that's true. Okay? They're targeting the young generations, and that's why, you know, TV shows, you know, is so violent, sex is so prevalent. You know, I'm a big proponent for, you know, COVID, the C-19, you know, the scandemic really setting back a lot of children. Okay, it really set back a lot of children, man. A lot of children were going to quote unquote school online. They was just passing out, you know. There's attack on your children. Okay, this is Deuteronomy 28, and let's see. And 50, a nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. Okay, and these scriptures, you know, they out America through the Spirit, if you can receive it. Okay, this is that nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. Okay, it doesn't care if you're old or young. Okay, you're oppressed, you're being deceived, you're being manipulated into a narrative in which you have to ultimately be subservient to the GOV, to Big Brother. Okay, you are, you know, as a youth, you're carted away into these schools that are just teaching you, you know, a false history. You know, he even went in to say that that they're destroying the institution of family, their cultural, historic identity. Okay, and there's various perversions. You know, you had children reading to PDF files and you know, transams reading to children in schools. All right, you had, you know, this was the place where you know, if you were a transam, you can go into a, you know, whatever restroom, okay, whether there was kids in there or not. Okay, so they're definitely destroying, you know, the institution of family. They're definitely turning things upside down. Okay, and they're distorting their culture's historical identity, which is, you know, the fact that they're the true Edomites. They want to hide that because they're ashamed. Okay, you know, so regarding children, you know, being a PDF file is regarded normal. And this is a spiritually Sodom in Egypt, man. And we know what happened in Sodom. Sodom was destroyed for the inhabitants going after strange flesh. This is the spiritual city of Sodom in Egypt, if you can receive it. It's also known as Babylon. It's also known as Nineveh. Okay, so the Bible is you know, pretty much speaking of America, and that's why, you know, you need teachers to teach this to you. All right, but you know, it's good to show Jake visuals because, you know, Jake doesn't just believe you through understanding. They have to hear it. So there you hear it. Okay, you know, Russia is telling you straight up, you know, that they're PDF files here. Satanic PDF files. All right, they force priests to recognize and officiate marriages. Yeah. He also wanted to say people live how they want. Nobody intrudes on private life. Maybe they should take a look into the scriptures, right? And so America's a lawless society. This is where they crucified our Lord. This is where they put to death any resemblance of Yahweh Shai, okay, and made up their own God, which is Jesus Christ, if you can receive it. This is Revelation 11:8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So this is that great city. It's spiritually called Sodom in Egypt. Sodom for the Moism and Egypt for the bondage, the captivity. Okay, so as a Jake, all you have to look forward to is captivity and to grow up, a Mo. Roles are being reversed. Okay, people are literally dead here. They're walking zombies. They don't know who they are. They won't. It says here, Revelation 11:9, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. Okay, so there's no nation on earth that sees the Israelites and suffer them to be put in graves, meaning to tell them the truth, to have them rest and assured of who they are, because we're truly in captivity here. Okay. And if anyone has, drunken of the wine of Babylon, which is America, is you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay? Let's get this. This is Revelation 17:2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Okay? And she has, basically sinned against Yahweh Bashim El Shai by her ideologies, her witchcrafts, all right? Her dealings, unrighteous dealings, gains gotten by deceit. Snap. Yeah, the kings of the earth have committed fornication with the inhabitants of the earth. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Let's get this in the NLT. It says, the kings of the world have committed adultery with her, and the people who belong to this world have been made drunk by the wine of her immorality. Okay? Everyone wants to be like America. America's pushing this vibration, at the Grammys, at the award shows, these fake assassinations of Donald Trump. Okay, all right. America's just a laughing stock. The pdfFiles. All this perversion, man. Okay, has leaked throughout the earth, and these kings have been made rich by fornicating, by getting in bed, with America and these backdoor deals. People have gotten rich by with America. And Vladimir Putin just outing it, man. Him and other people. Yeah. People live how they want. Nobody intrudes, into the private life. And here it is. He outlawed satanic temples. Let's get this. This is Isaiah. And you got to forgive me. My phone is not letting me store videos that long. This is Isaiah 47:8. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Okay? Up above, if you read, it says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. This is speaking of America. America is also known as Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Okay? And the reason why this is speaking of America is because this is figuratively speaking, as well as that we just read, spiritually Sodom in Egypt. Okay, this is that virgin daughter of Babylon that hasn't been invaded, hasn't been humiliated, hasn't been conquered. Okay, daughter of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans were wise men. The so-called wise men, the politicians, the Rothschilds, the true banker elites, the people you don't see. Those are what you would call Chaldeans. Okay, America is no longer going to be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal. Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg. Uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance. I will not meet thee as a man. Okay, so America's being revealed. Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Thy shame shall be seen. Thy shame shall be seen. And that's what is being seen here in America. You know, that pdfFiles was big, okay, with that Jeff Epps, was doing, okay, and naming Donald Trump and these other guys, Pete Hegseth, celebrities, it's being made plain, these dudes are freaks, drug addicts. All right, look at Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove was busted wide open, and there was film of important quote unquote celebrities and politicians sacrificing to an owl, the owl of Molech, which is that Canaanite deity. Okay. So going back to 8, therefore hear now this, thou art given to pleasures, which is America, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Okay, and the music is enchanted, the food. Okay, there's satanic symbolism in restaurants and food. It's everywhere. Okay, the GMOs that it's unhealthy for people to consume. All these different types of things has enchantments in it, man. Sorceries. Okay, the medicine is not made to cure anybody. It's just to keep you here as a patient. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me, thy wisdom and thy knowledge hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, admission shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Okay, because the Lord is coming. Okay, the Lord is going to thwart the plans of the wicked. They're not going to be able to with their NWO, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. And they're not going to be able to prevail because the Lord sees all these things. The Lord sees all these things. Let's get one more and then we'll end it out. It says, let's see. It's Revelation 18. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right, so, these merchants of the earth, they're rich because of America's trade, the business, okay? And all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Okay, all the nations have been in cahoots with America. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. So you got to spiritually depart. Okay, so the plagues that come upon America, they don't overtake you. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. Okay, now when you go into America, America's been at war, damn near since its inception. Okay, America has truly been the hammer of the earth. So she's going to be rewarded how she rewarded all the nations, how she, destroyed the earth, okay, and how the Israelites were in slavery here, and that persecution wherein, they're going to shed the blood of the saints. That has to be paid for, okay? It says, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. And that's what Americans truly think, man. You know, these Edomites, they truly think that they're not going to see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Yahweh thy power who judgeth her. You see? So America's skirt is being lifted by these nations. Okay, not too long ago, Mexico was saying that who was America to, condemn them for the, the corruption in with the cartels, when, America was built on slavery. That's of a truth that we have to continue to speak on, because, they want to wipe that out of the history books. Okay. Vladimir Putin, he even said that. He said that they're destroying their culture, historical identity. They don't want you to know that they're Esau, Edom. They don't want you to know that you're the Israelites, and they'll not suffer you to be put in graves. They're not going to suffer to tell you the truth, to let you rest that you're Israelites. They don't want to do that. They want to push this narrative that they're a God-fearing country. When you look and you see it for yourself, that this is the place of the slave trade. This place was built on the backs of slaves. Okay, racism is very much alive and real in America. Okay, and they push this narrative, but really, when you look, when you pull back the curtain, they're satanic PDF files. All right, and that's just of a truth. And I'm one to speak on it. So, Lord willing, you were edified. Forgive me. I have to fix my phone. It doesn't want to store long videos. But Lord willing, you were edified. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And a sincere salutation to you, Akim, and you, Aqua, to believe in all sincerity. Shalom.